Hey everyone, Roar the Fiend here, back with another fixing video, but this time it's not gym leaders, specifically it's the rivals of Pokemon Emerald, May, Brendan, and Wally. Gen 3 I think does alright in the gym leader department, but for rivals I feel they really dropped the ball. For example, the main rival, who I'll just refer to as May to keep it simple, your final fight with her, well it's optional to fight her here, but it's in Lily Cove after Gym 6, where upon beating her, and her not fully evolved starter, she gives up and heads back home. You're going to want to stay tuned for this because her team's movesets are atrocious. For Wally, you fight him once in Moorville. Well, he only has a Ralts. He's weaker than a trainer battle at that point. And then you forget about him for the rest of your journey until he jump scares you with a sort of competent team in Victory Road. To me, these rivals feel a bit shoehorned in, especially Wally. Like they forgot about him and quickly added him back in at the end. Oh, and to be clear, they'll be tuned up to a hypothetical hard mode if Game Freak decided to ever make difficulty options, as I think that's a bit more interesting. Now let's talk about one of my favourite generation's worst aspects. I hope you enjoy. The first actual rival battle we will be skipping for obvious reasons, but just so it's said, it's the obligatory level 5 battle at the beginning of the game. Doesn't really make any sense to change that really. So the first actual rival battle we'll be looking at is optional. I guess it's to emphasize the fact that this rival is a lot more casual than the rivals from Gen 1 and 2. Their primary goal isn't to become the strongest, instead it's focusing on researching and collecting Pokemon for the Pokédex. This optional battle takes place after the player obtains their first gym badge, and the rival is seen AFKing South and Rustboro. Talking to them gives the player an option to accept their challenge, or decline it, they don't really care. XP is XP though, I'm just saying. This battle didn't exist in Ruby or Sapphire, so I guess it was shoehorned in when Game Freak realised you really don't actually see your rival much at all in these games. To clarify now, the order we'll discuss her teams in will be Torchic team first, Mudkip second, and Trico last. It might be a little convoluted, but I'll do my best to keep things clear and concise, skipping over repeat team members when needed. Let's get into it. She leads with a Lotad level 13 with the Swift Swim ability and knowing Absorb, Astonish, Nature Power, and Growl. Stat-wise, this is a really weak Pokemon. 220 base stat total, and its moves are doing it no favours. To be fair though, it's early on, and if you want decent early grass mons, you basically have Trico. Since, yeah, Lotad is both grass and water, but it fills her grass slot, not her water slot, as later on she has a fire water grass core. Going over the moves, Astonish is non-stab, 30 base power coming off of Lotad's base 30 attack. Not much of a threat. Growl is a classic early game move, and Absorb is 20 base power, but there's not much else to work with. And Nature Power is honestly okay, 60 base power Swift at this point is usable. It's something anyway. So not a threatening team member, but it honestly feels okay since this is an optional battle, there's not too much to work with early on for grass types anyway. Out second is Torchic at level 15 with the Blaze ability. Also quick note, we all know starters have Blaze Torrent or Overgrow, so I'll just skip that part going forward. Torchic knows Ember, Scratch, Focus Energy, and Growl. Standard moveset for Torchic here. I see Game Freak kept it one level away from evolving, which is fair since she hasn't beaten the gym yet, and split the XP to Lotad. Stat wise, it's a mixed attacker, so Embers will hit hard, especially since the player will have Trico and there's a limited amount of fire resists early on, either Wingull or Marill. Many possible team additions the player might have added by this point will be weak to fire though. So here's May's Torchic team. There's not too much to say here, it's still early on and options are very limited. I have some changes in mind, but it's not going to be anything crazy. Moving on to May's Mudkip team, she leads with, very surprisingly, Torkoal at level 13 with the White Smoke ability. It knows Ember, Smog, and Curse. Right, this is really weird for several reasons. Torkoal isn't available until Fiery Path after Gym 3. No wildfire types exist early on, but still, they chose Torkoal of all things. It also disappears from her team lineup next time you fight her, being replaced by a Slugma. So I'm really curious what was going on in the devs' minds here. This was an additional rival battle to Emerald, so maybe there were intentions to further edit the rival team that never went through. Next point why Torkoal is weird. For this point in the game, its base stat total is cracked. Torkoal is the 4th gym leader's ace. 470 base stat total with insane defense, great offenses for this early on, and solid HP and special defense. Ember is fine offense for this stage, coming off of base 85 special attack, and Smog is awful. So Curse doesn't really help too much aside from becoming a tackle tank, a pound pacifier, and the power boost to Smog will take a while before it adds up to do anything meaningful. Special attacks will chip it down like Poochyana's Bite, but it won't take long for it to get KO'd in return. Overall, incredible Pokemon carried by absurd BST for this point of the game. So out second is Mudkip at level 15. It knows Water Gun, Mud Slap, Bide, and Growl. Just like with Torchic, this is pretty much the default moveset for any starter Mudkip at level 15, and it obviously handles the player starter Torchic. Here's May's Mudkip team, hard carried by the tanky Torkoal, and the fact that Mudkip counters the player's Torchic or Combuskin at this stage means this could actually be a somewhat challenging fight. Lastly, for a Trico team, she uses a Wingull at level 13 with a Keen Eye ability. It knows Wing Attack, Water Gun, Supersonic, and Growl. So stat-wise, Wingull is whatever. It's got great speed and usable special attack. Attack stat is low at base 30, but that's not really noticed when it's made up by a solid stab, base 60 wing attack. Fast stab Water Guns is handy as well, though the early game lacks any water weak mons aside from Nincada, so wing attack would probably get more mileage here. Supersonic is a bit whack, but it's definitely gotten me from time to time. And Growl is Growl. Early game move, but a fast debuffing option, has some use. Next is Trico at level 15. It knows Absorb, Quick Attack, Pound, and Leer. Unlike Torchic and Mudkip, Trico's stab move is only 20 base power, plenty of bug and flying types to use to deal with Trico early. So overall this variation is a frail and fast team. So here's May's 3 team variations. It is early game and you are battling a trainer with no badges, so it makes sense she is a bit weaker than you, minus the Torkoal of course. I like how right away she adds a Pokemon to complement her starter's type. It's the beginning of her Fire, Water, Grass core. Definitely a weird power discrepancy with one team having a Lotad and the other having a freaking Torkoal though. So let's adjust her team a bit to start with. May's new Torchic team is still leading with Lotad at level 13 with the Swift Swim ability. It knows Astonish, Bullet Seed, Absorb, and Nature Power. Same level, same moves, except I've added Bullet Seed. Something I want to try and incorporate more is TM usage. Our rival is going on a journey similar to ours. It makes sense she'd talk to people such as the Bullet Seed TM guy south of Rustboro and incorporate it onto her team. Other than that, not much has changed. It is an early rival fight after all. Out second is Wingull at level 14 with Keen Eye. It knows Wing Attack, Water Gun, Supersonic, and Growl. We're giving May her Fire, Water, Grass core from the start. It's weird to me how few Pokemon she ends up using, considering the main point of her adventure is to help her dad complete the Pokedex. Yet she refuses to use a full team of 6. Obviously it's a bit early to give her that right now, but a bigger roster earlier to build into an even bigger roster late game is the plan here. So yeah, Wingull is here, and should be a decent early game addition as stated before. Last out is our level 15 Torchic, holding an Oranberry with Ember, Scratch, Focus Energy, and Growl. Not much to say, standard Torchic moveset, but items will slowly be included. Berries are very plentiful in this game after all. So here's May's Torchic team. With the Fire, Water, Grass core, she should have decent counterplay to anything the player has up to this point. For her Mudkip team, she leads with level 13 Lotad, identical to the Lotad we just talked about for her Torchic team. So moving on, out second is Numel at level 14 with the Oblivious ability and knowing Ember, Tackle, and Growl. So we removed the Torkoal. While I don't mind it personally, game design wise it is a bit odd. So changing it to a Pokemon with a more reasonable base stat total seems fair. I prefer Numel over Slugma, it's got better stats, and is a callback to May using one of Ruby and Sapphire games. Last out is our level 15 Mudkip, with Water Gun, Mud Slap, Tackle, and Growl, holding an Oranberry. Just a standard starter moveset here. So here's May's Mudkip team. It's not too scary for the Torchic players, as Lotad and Numel lack any water and ground moves respectively. For May's Trico team, I guess we can speed through this. It's Wingull, Numel, and then Trico with an Oranberry. Same moveset, nothing extra going on for now. I saw no reason not to just give her Fire, Water, Grass core right away. Aside from the Fire type, the Grass and Water Mons are found at the start of the game. It establishes right away that she is compensated for the starter types she wasn't able to pick, and that she is actually growing her team and searching for different Pokemon. The next time we see May is on Route 110, a speedrunner's nightmare, because her Grovyle wrecks the speedrunner's Marshtomp.
Really?
Getting into it, for her Combuskin team she leads with Wingull at level 18, Keen Eye ability with Wing Attack, Water Gun, Supersonic, and Growl. It's the same moveset as before, just higher leveled. Not much of a threat, but could do something. Second out is Lombre with Swift Swim, knowing Astonish, Absorb, Growl, and Nature Power. Same moveset as our Lotad in the previous battle, but now it's evolved and has better stats, though still not great. I believe Nature Power can be either Swift or Stun Spore depending on where you approach her from. It's cool that it actually can affect the dynamic of the battle. Lastly, her Combuskin is at level 20, knowing Ember, Double Kick, Peck, and Focus Energy. Rather competent now with firefighting dual stab, double kick effectively 60 base power plus stab, and with solid defensive stats at this stage it can deal with most Pokemon the player sends out. Her team now has the Fire, Water, Grass core. I'd say aside from her starter the other members feel a bit weak, and I'd like to see if we can start implementing more TMs now. For Marshtomp team she leads with a level 18 Lombre, skipping past that to Slugma at level 18 with the Magma Arm ability and knowing Ember, Rock Throw, Smog and Yawn. No clue why she ditches Torkoal for a Slugma, but so be it. The moves are nothing impressive besides the somewhat uncommon Yawn, which is a decent status move. Stat wise it's pretty weak, so don't expect it to live anything. Not a great addition that at best lives a turn and gets to Yawn. Her Marshtomp is at level 20 and knows Water Gun, Mudshot, Bide and Foresight. I know the game is just using the level up moves here, but Foresight and no normal moves sounds good to me. Aside from that, yeah, middle stage starter with decent stab moves can certainly be a pain to deal with. Overall the team is mainly scary thanks to Marshtomp and can maybe be assisted by status spreading teammates. Lastly, her Grovyle team. Well, level 18 Wingull lead, level 18 Slugma second, and her Grovyle at level 20 knows Absorb, Quick Attack, Fury Cutter and Pursuit. Unlike the other two starters, Grovyle stays monotype, and doesn't get access to a solid secondary stab attack like Marshtomp's Mudshot and Combusken's Double Kick. It's still working with 20 base power absorbs. Fury Cutter is really weak, taking ages before it'll be worthwhile, and Pursuit is okay coverage I suppose. The main claim to fame here is just how much it hard counters the Marshtomp players, but aside of a speedrun, players can just switch out to a better matchup and deal with this Mon's underpowered moveset. So here's a Grovyle team. It might be the worst of the three, simply because of the starter's lack of a strong stab move. Let's make some changes here. So our Combusken team now leads with Sableye, a level 18 with the Keen Eye ability and holding an Orange Berry. It knows Nightshade, Astonish, Cut, and Leer. With no weaknesses and at this point a fair base stat total, it's a lead slot that tries to prevent the player from having an easy matchup to begin with. We can also see they cut HM being used. I wonder if this means Sableye will be benched late game. But it's honestly just an upgrade over its other normal moves it could have. Second out is the Lombre at level 19, holding an Orange Berry, knowing Bullet Seed, Nature Power, Astonish, and Fake Out. The addition of Fake Out can give it guaranteed damage, and Bullet Seed, like in the previous battle, at least ties Absorb for base power, or does more if it hits more than 2 times. Overall, slight adjustments to give it more use. Out third is Wingull at level 19, holding an Orange Berry. It knows Wing Attack, Water Gun, Supersonic, and Growl. No real changes here as Wingull's level up learn set isn't great, but we've given it an extra level and an Orange Berry. Lastly out comes Combusken at level 20, holding a Citrus Berry, with the moves Ember, Double Kick, Rock Tomb and Bulk Up. We replaced Focus Energy for the Bulk Up TM that she got from Brawly, and replaced Peck with Rock Tomb, the TM from Roxanne, as well as holding a Citrus Berry. Combusken is a good Pokemon at this stage to show off the moveset changes that can be done with TMs. Unfortunately, the other team members don't have many options just yet, so Combusken will definitely feel like a stage above the rest of her team. Here's May's team, the addition of Sableye to avoid a bad lead matchup, and weak held items in berries to signify that she'll be using held items in abundance in the following battles. Part of me actually wants to give her 6 Pokemon here, but I figure it'd be too big of a jump from the Rustboro gym. But there's always next time. For her new Marshtomp team, it leads the same with Sableye, then Lombre out second. Skipping past them to the third Pokemon Numel. At level 19, holding an Orange Berry, it knows Ember, Magnitude, Tackle and Growl. So the new move addition here is Magnitude, a move that wildly varies in power. Also, it's a good matchup to the player's Combusken, and deals with a lot of the Pokemon players might have added, like Aaron or Gulpin or an electric type, or even Tentacool since it shouldn't have a water move yet. Then out comes Marshtomp at level 20, holding a Citrus Berry, and its moves are Water Gun, Mudshot, Rock Tomb and Growl. With the Rock Tomb TM, it gives Marshtomp a better way to deal with any flying types. Unfortunately, it can't learn Bulk Up, so its last move in Growl is a bit weak, but it'll come across as a very sturdy Pokemon thanks to its Citrus Berry. So here's May's Marshtomp team. First 2 Pokemon are the same as before. The Numel out third, with Magnitude, could lead to some scary turns if it gets a high rolling Magnitude. And Marshtomp is just a bulky lad, he should be doing good work here. For her Grovyle team, it's the Sableye lead, Wingull second, Numel third, and then Grovyle at level 20, with a Citrus Berry knowing Bullet Seed, Rock Tomb, Pursuit and Quick Attack. Similar justification for Lombre having Bullet Seed. Absorb can be nice, but Bullet Seed offers a lot more potential damage output. Grovyle can learn Rock Tomb thankfully, giving it a nice option for flying types. Then Pursuit and Quick Attack are the moves of choice for its level up learn set. While its Grass Stab isn't the best, it does hard counter the player's Marshtomp, so it'll have to do for the time being. So here's May 2's teams, sporting a 4th Pokemon, utilising HM and TMs where reasonable, along with held items. The rival is meant to mimic what the player would do given similar resources, and that'll only become more apparent with the later fights with her. You first fight Wally outside of the Morville City's gym, begging his uncle to let him fight Watson. Though his uncle is against the idea, he allows Wally to battle the player to see if he really is ready to take on the gym challenges. Now Wally's team, it consists of a single level 16 Ralts with the synchronized ability. Unknown Confusion, Growl, Double Team and Teleport. I highly doubt anyone has ever lost to this fight unless done intentionally. He's a complete pushover, which I think is the point. He's a sick young lad, and sure, he's made a bit of progress leveling his Ralts, somehow, despite it only knowing Growl when it was caught, but he isn't ready for travelling the region and raising a full team. Now that being said, I am wanting to make it a more interesting fight, so you guys better not comment,
Actually, you should have never changed him. He's meant to be weak.
Yeah, I get it. Just let me have some fun theory crafting here, okay? So reworking his team a bit, he leads with Roselia at level 19, with the Poison Point ability, and knowing Mega Drain, Poison Sting, Growth and Stun Spore. The plan here is to have a status spreader early, and then Growth Mega Drain to heal off the damage it's taken. Also, there's just not much else it can do at this low level. His final team uses a Roselia, and you can catch Roselias in the route adjacent to Morville. Well, only in Ruby and Sapphire, but his Emerald team has a Roselia, so yeah, adding one at this stage seems fair to me. Second out is Skitty at level 20, with the cute charm ability, it knows Assist and Sing. Skitty, while having low stats, has a fun moveset. It can put the opponent to sleep, then spam Assist, which calls upon almost any move its teammates have. If it works out, it can use stuff like Calm Confusion, spoilers, and Mega Drain. Of course it could use less useful moves as well, but I had a friend play a Poison Monologue a while back on an Emerald ROM I edited, and the Wally fight is basically what I'm making it today, and this Skitty was one of the funniest encounters he had in the game.
Okay, good thing Skitty's stats are terrible.
Last out was Curlia at level 21 with a synchronized ability, it knows Confusion, Growl, Double Team and Calm Mind. Its moveset is limited to only psychic moves at the moment, but it learns Calm Mind very early and it is at least evolved. Though I'm sure a lot of you already knew this, Curlia still has really bad stats, so it really isn't as strong as some of you may think. Also, fun fact, they gave Curlia Magical Leap as a level 1 move in Fire Red and Leaf Green, and I have no idea why. Overall, this is meant to be a setup sweeper, but it's still rather weak Pokemon. Here's Wally's team. He sports a team of 3, using team members that are present in his final team that can actually be caught at this point in the game. His levels have been increased to make it resemble a fight, which, yeah, that may go against the intentions of this initial fight, but like I said, theory crafting teams is fun. After defeating your father and claim the 5th gym badge, you're greeted by Wally's uncle, who gives you the HM for Surf. In Ruby and Sapphire, you need to manually enter his house that neighbours the gym, which for me as a foolish kid meant I had no idea how to get Surf in Ruby. In Emerald then, I'd like to edit this cutscene to have Wally appear as you step outside the gym. A bit of dialogue about how this is where his journey began, and about how he wasn't sure he could become a proper trainer, but is now using all his strength to travel the region and become a great Pokemon trainer. As part of that, he wants to battle the player to gauge his abilities and hopefully gain some confidence before he takes on Norman himself. This is the same location where the player is introduced to Wally, the player's father, and Wally's starter Ralts, so it has a nice circularity to it, I feel. An uncommon occurrence, but this battle would be losable, with just the dialogue differing slightly depending on the outcome. Regardless, after that, Wally's uncle provides the player with Surf, and the journey continues on as expected. Oh, and beforehand, Norman would fully heal the player, since he just got his gym badge. So no initial team to critique here, let's go straight into this new rival battle. He leads with Swablu at level 27, with a natural cure ability, holding a citrus berry, and it knows Secret Power, Peck, Steel Wing, and Sing. Fairly unremarkable moveset, utilising 2 TMs to improve it, secret power obtained by that Ace Trainer NPC near the desert, and Steel Wing given by, presumably, his own chance encounter with Steven. Heck, you could even weave that into the dialogue saying he met a mysterious man that gave him a pep talk, along with a handy TM. So yeah, that's the explanation for Swablu's moveset. Also because if it didn't have these TMs, Swablu would be pitifully weak. Out second is Dalcati, a level 28 with the Cute Charm ability and holding a Citrus Berry. Its moves are Strength, Feint Attack, Assist, and Attract. Keeping its assist theming, it is Stab Strength for decent damage output, Feint Attack for ghost types, and Attract to annoy the player, possibly netting free turns for assist to work. While its stats will fall off hard late game, by Gym 5 standards, it's passable. Next out is Breloom at level 29 with the Effect Spore ability and holding a Citrus Berry. Its moves are Mach Punch, Headbutt, Bulk Up, and Leech Seed. We've ditched the Roselia for, quite frankly, a better grass type. With very high attack and Mach Punch, it should be able to dent most things before fainting, and it has Bulk Up to make its priority attack even deadlier. Headbutt is a secondary option that is more powerful than Mach Punch in a neutral matchup, and Leech Seed as its grass move alternative is Mega Drain, just a bit weak from its mid-special attack, and Leech Seed could be nice to have set up to aid his final Pokemon. Of course, it gets destroyed by flying moves, and unfortunately in this generation it does not get Rock Tomb, but I feel it'll be a useful team member for him. Also, fun fact, in Ruby Sapphire, May uses a Shroomish, except it never evolves, even in the final fight. Last out is Gardevoir, at level 30, with Synchronize and holding a Lumberry. It knows Psychic, Shockwave, Growl, and Calm Mind. At this stage, a Gardevoir with Psychic is very scary. It's pretty cool that Kirlia naturally learns at level 26. Anyway, it has Shockwave for coverage, but also I feel is a nice callback to when you first fight Wally, and see him wanting to battle Watson, but admitting he's too weak. So now we can see definitive proof that he's beaten the gym, and his words earlier about becoming a stronger trainer were no lie. It's also holding the Lumberry to punish status users by synchronizing it onto the player's Pokemon and recovering from the status themselves. So here's Wally's team. His Gardevoir is very scary, but the player just faced at level 31 slacking, so I feel this amount of challenge is reasonable. Adding another Wally encounter at this point of the game just makes sense to me. He is completely absent until Victory Road otherwise, which is just weird, and as I said, I feel it makes sense to see him again where you first met him, this time as a legitimate rival. The third time you fight the rival is after you deal with Team Aqua in the Weather Institute, and you pick yourself up a lovely cast form. Anyway, I recall this fight being incredibly easy, and taking a little cheeky glance at Bulbapedia, oh dear. Okay, let's go through this properly and see how bad it truly is. She leads with Pelipper at level 29, and it knows Wing Attack, Supersonic, Mist, and Protect. So it's evolved at least. Stat-wise, it's okay. Wing Attack Stab is whatever, but it's odd she isn't using Fly. After all, she literally gives you the HM for Fly after beating her. Also no Surf, despite you needing Surf to reach this part of the region. Outside of Wing Attack, the other moves don't serve much purpose, unless she gets absolutely blessed with Supersonic and protecting perfectly. Out second is Lombre at level 29. It knows Absorb, Nature Power aka Swift, Fake Out, and Fury Swipes. 3 normal attacks. And Absorb. This guy is a joke. Real bad stats, real bad moves, and you, I think, are the reason why I think of Lombre. I think Pushover. Underleveled as well, might I add. Her Combuskin is level 31, and it knows Double Kick, Peck, Sand Attack, and Bulk Up. So no fire type move, huh? Well, Double Kick and Bulk Up is something, but again, this is underleveled, and its moves aren't anything impressive. So here's May's Combuskin team. It's weak, and honestly, just, it doesn't look right. Where's the fire move? Lombre is using Absorb still? This is meant to be your rival. This is exactly why the rivals should be using TMs the player is given. It makes sense, and it prevents this utter disaster of a team comp. For her Marshtomp team, it's the Absorbing Lombre lead, then Slugma at level 29 with Ember, Rock Throw, Harden, and Amnesia. Slugma at this stage is just not doing anything at all, especially with Stab Ember as its peak damage output. Unfortunately, it's just very unlikely to contribute anything meaningful to the battle. Lastly, her Marshtomp at level 31. It knows Mudshot, Foresight, Mudsport, and Takedown. So, no water move now? How did you even get here, May? You need Surf to reach this point. Turn off the wall hacks. So, I don't know what else to say here. It's just not much of a threat, really. She's lacking good moves, good stats, and good levels. Question of the day. Has anyone ever lost to this rival? Also, no excuse not to be fully healed, as the Weather Institute has a bed you can rest at. So unless you forgot and are somehow on death's door, I can't see people losing this if they're above 6 years old. For the Grovyle team, it's Lead Slugma into Lombre second, then Grovyle third. Rory the Fiend from the future here. Just realised that for some reason, the May battle and Route 119 use a Lombre with a Grovyle team, when the previous battle, no Lombre, Wingull, and the battle after that, no Lombre, Wingull. So, yeah, weird oversight by the devs there. Sickening. It knows Leaf Blade, Pursuit, Fury Cutter, and Screech. Okay, hold on folks. A positive Leaf Blade, while it's not quite 90 base power, in Gen 3 it's 70 base power, it's still a decent stab option coming off of Grovyle's high special attacking stat. Other than that, Pursuit is weak and very niche. Fury Cutter is laughable, and Screech, well, that's only going to help Fury Cutter's damage output, and Grovyle is rather frail, so making use out of both these moves seems near impossible. Overall, May's teams here are just underpowered with really bad movesets. I get they're based off of the level up moves, but the devs really should have intervened here and tailored these fights. So let's have some fun and create some new teams for her. Her new lead is Kecleon at level 31, with the color change ability and holding a citrus berry. Its moves are Facade, Psybeam, Rollout, and Metronome. We have Reliable Stab Facade she obtained from beating Norman, Psybeam for coverage against fighting types, Rollout as honestly there's not many other great options, and Metronome because I think it's a fun addition that in a certain sense suits Kecleon. So why Kecleon, you might ask? Well, aside from stat-wise being a decent match for this point, it's a 1% encounter rate on Route 118-119, which is meant to show how serious May is on completing the dex for her dad. She's working hard and is getting results. Out second is Viper at level 31, with the Shed Skin ability, holding a Citrus Berry and knowing Poison Tail, Crunch, Double Team and Glare. Making use of Viper's mixed offenses here with physical Poison Tail and special Crunch. Glare, while being a thematic move, also serves to hinder the player and compounding that with potential double team dodging. I like the idea of Viper here since it is seldom seen on other trainers in the game. So adding underutilized Pokemon to your rival that is meant to be catching a diverse range of Pokemon makes sense to me. So overall, I like Viper's stats and Crunch gives it an option for its psychic weakness at the very least. Third out is Trapinch at level 31 with the Arena Trap ability, holding a Citrus Berry and knows Dig, Strength, Crunch and Sand Attack. Why Trapinch, you might ask? Well, she gives the player the go goggles after you beat Flannery, so it's safe to assume she forayed into the desert. And while Trapinch is rather weak, May does have a full team of 6, so having a weaker team member seems fair to me. That being said, Trapinch has base 100 attack, which means it can still do real damage to the player, and if they're playing on set mode, May swaps into Trapinch, and the Arena Trap may give it a great matchup, turning it into a legitimate threat. But it's meant to be more of a thematic pick considering she's just visited the area, and it can be assumed that she has many Pokemon in rotation, training them up for the Pokedex. This is just one of those members. Out fourth is Pelipper at level 32, holding the Mystic Water, it knows Surf, Fly, Shockwave and Steel Wing. No reason for it not to know both Surf and Fly at this point, they're both about as good as Pelipper can do for stab, and Shockwave is an interesting choice. I mean, it's interesting it can even learn that, so sure, Shockwave coverage. It's Watson's TM after all. Lastly, Steel Wing is a bit of a filler slot since Steel coverage doesn't do much compared to Stab Surf, but still, from a theming perspective it does imply the rival has had an encounter with Steven as well. Overall, Pelipper has had a huge buff, mainly due to giving it moves that literally make sense for it to have, with some funky coverage TMs handed to her by other NPCs. Fifth out is Ludicolo at level 32, holding the Miracle Seed, and it knows Mega Drain, Surf, Ice Beam and Fake Out. Unfortunately, no Giga Drain just yet, the TM for that is found a bit further on, but it gets Surf and the Ice Beam TM, which is found on the shipwreck boat east of Dewford Town, which will be great coverage for flying types. Lastly, Fake Out is just some free small chip. Ludicolo's stats are far better than Lombre's, so at this stage it should be fairly tanky and hard-hitting member of her team that sports decent coverage. Lastly, her starter Combuskin at level 34, holding a White Herb, it knows Overheat, Double Kick, Rock Tomb and Bulk Up. Similar to the previous encounter moveset wise, but now instead of Paltry Embers, we have devastating Overheats. And with the White Herb, which can be found in the flower shop for beating certain gym leaders, gives at least 2 free uses of this powerful attack, which helps make up for the fact that it's still an NFE. So here's our Combuskin team. The main theme I'm going for is that May tends to use Pokemon found in the previous couple of areas, in a similar sense to N from Black and White, but for different reasons. Sableye is no more, but now it's Kecleon from Route 118-119, Viper from Route 114, and Trapinch from the desert, though you can consider her Firewater Grass trio to be her core team members, reflected by them having a higher level, better held items, and more TMs used on them. Her Marshtomp team has Kekla and Survivor Trapinch just the same, along with the Ludicolo, but for the fire types instead of Numel or Camerupt, I've given back her Torkoal from that optional battle in Rustburrow. It didn't make any sense for her to have it at that point, but now it seems fair. It's level 32 with the White Smoke ability and holding a Charcoal. Its moves are Flamethrower, Body Slam, Curse, and Smokescreen. Torkoal's level up moveset is quite nice for Gen 3 standards. Flamethrower at 30, Body Slam at 20, Curse is a cool boosting move as well, though after that there's nothing amazing. Still, with Torkoal's balanced offenses, having 2 solid attacks is nice. It's a massive upgrade over the Slugma anyway. Lastly, her Marshtomp at level 33. It's holding a Mystic Water and no Surf, Mudshot, Rock Tomb, and Takedown. Surf being added is great for its damage output, though it still needs to stick with Mudshot for its ground stab. At least it actually has Water Stab for this battle now. For May's Grovyle team, it's Kekla and Survivor Trapinch, Pelipper and Torkoal. Then for Grovyle, it's level 33, holding a Miracle Seed, knowing Leaf Blade, Rock Tomb, Secret Power, and Screech. We have peak Gen 3 Grass Stab in 70 base power Leaf Blade, Rock Tomb coverage for flying types, Secret Power is just a better move compared to its other options like Pursuit and Quick Attack, and lastly Screech since it does have 2 physical moves. So unfortunately mono grass types often struggle with good move coverage, and pre-Gen 4 they even struggle with good stab moves. Grovyle can get cool options like Thunder Punch, but that's not available at this point, so we've got to make do. Compared to the original moveset, it's a definite improvement anyway. Now having access to a wider array of TMs and HMs, we can really see her team coming together, utilising the resources she's found throughout her journey. And overall, her team is 3 core members and 3 rotating members. As such, next time we see her, the Kekla, Survivor and Trapinch will have changed. We meet our rival again pretty quickly. She's found in Lily Cove blocking the department store. This battle is optional however, which is a little odd, really cements this rival feeling like more of an acquaintance. This is the final time we battle her, so let's see the culmination of her training. Her Combuskin team leads with a level 31 Tropius with the Chlorophyll ability that knows Magical Leaf, Stomp, Sweet Scent and Whirlwind. People like to meme on Banana Chin here, but unironically this is probably one of May's better Pokemon. Decent bulk, Stab Magical Leaf is something, Stomp for coverage is mediocre but better than nothing. Sweet Scent, as we all know, is an incredible move. Lastly, Whirlwind. It can be a slight pain to deal with, but May isn't exactly gaining much by using this move. Feels like an odd last second team member tacked on. In Ruby and Sapphire she used a Swellow that was added for just the final fight as well. Honestly not too sure why they decided to change it, but I'm genuinely curious though. Does anybody know why Game Freak would make these changes? It's ultimately pretty inconsequential as both are underleveled with mediocre movesets. It feels like change for the sake of change. Out second is Pelipper at level 32 with Wing Attack, Supersonic, Mist and Protect. It's been said before, underwhelming moves, it should have Fly and Surf. Next, Ludicolo at level 32 with Astonish, Growl, Absorb and Nature Power. Why didn't Game Freak think their rivals Ludicolo should have a custom moveset as opposed to its awful regular level up learn set is beyond me. For a Combuskin, it's now level 34 with Peck, Quick Attack, Sand Attack and Bulk Up. Fellas, this moveset, it's sickening. Where's her stab moves? Why is Quick Attack her strongest move at 40 base power? It just doesn't make sense. Oh, and why isn't this a Blaziken? This is the last time you fight her. You don't even get to register her starter's final Pokemon in the Pokedex? Genuinely perplexing. I need someone in the comments to justify this to me. I dare you. I can't do this. How did they mess up this much? They can make custom movesets, so don't you dare say it's like a Gen 1, Gen 2 scenario. See Steven's Aggron? They went out of their way to give it TM moves that make it worse. Let's just move on. But that might be the weakest a rival has ever been relative to the player, not including the Wally encounter. Her Marshtomp team leads with Tropius, then the Astonish, Absorb, Ludicolo. Third out it's Slugma, level 32, with Amber, Rock Throw, Hard and Amnesia. I'm not explaining this again, just look at its stats, then the moveset, now we're moving on. Now Marshtomp at level 34 with Mudshot, Foresight, Mudsport and Takedown. It's got okay ground stab, but just looking at this thing's moveset is ugly. Mudsport reduces electric attacks, you're already immune to them, and Foresight for ghosts. It could help against Duskull, you got me there, and there's no water stab to top it all off. I'm over this, we all know it's bad. For her Grovyle team, it's Tropius, then Slugma, then Pelipper, and finally the level 34 Grovyle, with Leaf Blade, Pursuit, Fury Cutter, and Screech. The best stab out of the starters, but that's about the end of it. It's just too weak, and if you lose to this, then I shame thee. So overall, this rival battle is incredibly sad, bad movesets, bad Pokemon, underleveled to a point where there's a Slugma involved, and the starters don't get to be fully evolved. If I catch someone defending this, I will release my level 30 Watchog on you, and it will Super Fang you. So watch out. At least now, let's have some fun and create more suitable final battle teams, with new Pokemon and interesting moves. For her Combuskin team, she starts with Girafarig at level 34, with the Inner Focus ability and holding a Citrus Berry. Its moves are Stomp, Psychic, Thunder, and Thief. A TM heavy moveset here, with Stomp for decent normal stab, and Psychic as I assume May is a bit of a gambler, obtaining that TM from the game corner. Thunder is in the department store she's gatekeeping, and Thief presumably from her own encounters with Team Aqua. Being a mixed attacker with a unique type combination makes Girafarig a decent lead mon. 2 solid stab moves, powerful coverage in Thunder. Thief is sort of filler, but I always like a little bit of item shenanigans with the AI, which goes well considering it's holding a berry to consume. Out second is Pinsir at level 34, with the Hyper Cutter ability and holding a Silk Scarf. It knows Hidden Power, Bug, Brick Break, Strength, and Focus Energy. May, having just recently explored the Safari Zone, is using 2 Pokemon exclusively found there. Pinsir's great attack and stats in general, and while it lacks a stab option normally, considering there's an old lady you can find in Fort Tree that gives you the TM for Hidden Power, I think it's only fair for one of May's Pokemon to use that move. In this case, we're plugging a gap in Pinsir's learn set. Brick Break is great coverage and it learns that naturally through level up. Strength as a third physical option, and lastly Focus Energy. There's not a great fourth move we can teach Pinsir here, so Focus Energy can be a bit of a mini setup move. Third out is Absol at level 34, with Pressure for the ability and holding the black glasses. Its moves are Bite, Aerial Ace, Strength, and Swords Dance. So I know Bite is special in Gen 3, but I didn't want to completely forego Stab. Aerial Ace the TM from Winona and the HM Strength. Lastly, Swords Dance is just a level up move. While Gen 3 Absol struggles a bit lacking a great stab option, with base 130 attack, if it is given a chance to set up, then it can do some serious damage. Out fourth is Pelipper, at level 35 holding a Mystic Water. Its moveset remains unchanged from Route 119. Then fifth is Ludicolo holding a Miracle Seed. This time it's replaced Mega Drain with Giga Drain. The rest of its moveset stays the same, so at this point its moveset is really solid. And lastly is Blaziken at level 36, holding a Charcoal and knowing Blaze Kick, Double Kick, Rock Tomb, and Bulk Up. Now it's evolved, it has great mixed offenses. It gets to use its signature move, Blaze Kick, which to be honest is just a slightly worse flamethrower that crits more often. Still, it's nice to see. The rest of its moveset remains unchanged, but since it's now evolved, in general it now should be a lot harder to deal with. And it's nice to be able to register it in the Pokédex. For a Swampert team, it's Girafarig, Pinsir, Absol, Ludicolo, then Torkoal at level 35, holding a Charcoal, with the same moves as before. It's only been a few levels after all. Then our Marshtomps evolved into Swampert holding a Mystic Water with Surf, Mudshot, Rock Tomb, and Takedown. Unfortunately, Swampert doesn't get its signature move until level 39 for some reason, but that's fine. Surf is almost always the better move to have anyway. Swampert has a great stat distribution, and it's probably the best Pokemon to use to clear the game with, so I'm sure this will put up a fight against the player. Lastly, for a Sceptile team, it's Girafarig, Pinsir, Absol, Pelipper, and Torkoal again. And then Sceptile at level 36, holding a Miracle Seed, knowing Leaf Blade, Rock Tomb, Super Power, and Screech. Same moveset again. Now evolved, this mon is lightning fast, with great special attack for its stab Leaf Blades, and its physical attack stat is decent enough to make use of its physical moves. Early Gen Monograss is working with what it can. So here's May's teams. Now with an evolved starter and some decent Safari caught Pokemon, she should offer the player a tough final battle with Pokemon unusual to see in this region, making the fight feel fresh and signaling to the player some of the more unorthodox Pokemon this region has to offer. You enter Victory Road, one last hurdle before reaching the Elite Four. Take a few steps in and who is this kid? It's Wally, someone you've not really seen since Moorville or Gym 3. He really comes out of left field here, all of a sudden wanting to challenge you. At least with my suggestions, you'd fight him after Gym 5. Anyway, let's see if this little noob has stepped up his game and is worthy of being our final rival fight before the Elite Four. He leads with Altaria at level 44 with the natural cure ability with the moves Aerial Ace, Dragon Breath, Safeguard, and Dragon Dance. I like Altaria as a Pokemon. Aerial Ace and Dragon Dance is definitely not awful. Dragon Breath Stab is mid though, and Safeguard is a bit wasted. It's basically a diet version of Winona's Altaria. If it had a second physical attack to capitalize on Dragon Dance, it would be a lot better. Second out is Delcatty at level 43 with the cute Charm ability and knowing Feint Attack, Assist, Charm and Sing. Endgame Delcatty has truly fallen off. Its stats are bad and it lacks any sort of stab move. Feint Attack is just doing pitiful damage here, and relying on Assist is too gimmicky. It'll likely fall in one hit, but if it doesn't, its best attributes are putting Pokemon to sleep and debuffing them. Third out is Roselia at level 44. With Natural Cure as its ability, it knows Magical Leaf, Giga Drain, Leech Seed and Toxic. Leech Seed, Toxic strats can be annoying to deal with. Its offensive moves are very mid and Roselia absolutely does not have the stats to complement this moveset. Out fourth is Magneton at level 41 with Thunderbolt, Tri-Attack, Supersonic and Screech. It's a good Pokemon with great special attack. Thunderbolt spam is solid as well. The main problem here is it's at a lowish level, and outside of Thunderbolt, this thing's uses are very limited. A Supersonic Confusion here, a Tri-Attack burn there, that sort of thing. Not complaining at a Magneton though, especially compared to the previous two Pokemon. Last out is his starter. At level 45 it's Gardevoir with the Synchronize ability and knowing Psychic, Future Sight, Double Team and Calm Mind. So Calm Mind Psychic is always great. Future Sight though is rather poor Gen 3. It's typeless, so no, Gardevoir doesn't get the stab bonus, it can miss, and it also can't even land a critical hit. Quite frankly, it's a weird move. Double Team is fine for some cheese, but it's probably better to see some sort of coverage move here instead. The Gardevoir is a strong Pokemon. I know it's given me some problems before anyway. Here's Wally's team. I'd probably describe it as just okay. He's good type diversity and some hard hitters, setup options and random status spreading and debuffing. That being said, a lot of the movesets have room for improvements and the Pokemon themselves can be rather lacking. It'll be fun reworking his team to make your final encounter with him feel far more engaging. Wally's new lead is Zangoose at level 45 with the immunity ability and holding a Silk Scarf. Its moves are Double Edge, Shadow Ball, Dig and Swords Dance. Right out of the gate, Zangoose is meant to hit hard. With a base 115 attack stat, Stab Double Edge boosted further by Silk Scarf, Dig helps with Rock and Steels that resists that, and Shadow Ball for the Ghost types. Lastly, Swords Dance just to make it that much scarier. Second out is Huntail at level 45, the Swift Swim ability and holding a Mystic Water. Its moves are Surf, Ice Beam, Crunch and Rain Dance. So here's a Pokemon we don't see too often. The idea is to set up Rain and outspeed thanks to its ability, then fire back with powerful Surfs, and having handy coverage moves of course. It may be a mixed attacker that leans slightly towards physical, but most of its physical options are just normal moves. Next out is Magneton at level 45 with the Magnet Pull ability and holding a Magnet. It has Thunderbolt, Hidden Power Grass, Thunder and Thunder Wave. Wally has opted to give the Pokemon with awful move coverage his one Hidden Power TM. In this case, Grass for the ground types. Take that, Swampert mains. Thunderbolt for reliable stab and Thunder for a risky option that may work out if the Huntail set up Rain and is still ongoing. Lastly, Thunder Wave is a move I can always get behind. Besides, Magneton doesn't have much else going on. Out fourth is Breloom at level 46 with the effect Spore ability and holding a Poison Barb. Its moves are Sky Uppercut, Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain and Leech Seed. Giga Drain for some sort of grass stab, and there needs to be a few more grass types to deal with the best Pokemon in the game, Swampert. And lastly, Leech Seed utility is something I'm usually a fan of. Fifth out is Altaria at level 46 with the Natural Cure ability and holding a Citrus Berry. It knows Fly, Earthquake, Dragon Claw and Dragon Dance, replacing Dragon Breath for Dragon Claw for better damage, and Safeguard for Earthquake, mimicking Winona's infamous Altaria much more closely. Flying and ground is very good coverage, as such, after Dragon Dance there isn't much that would want to tank it. Lastly, Wally starter, Gardevoir at level 47, it's got the Synchronize ability and is holding a Twisted Spoon. For moves, it's got Psychic, Shockwave, Double Team and Calm Mind. The only moveset change here is replacing Future Sight with Shockwave. Other than that, I think this moveset is plenty strong with what Gardevoir has to work with. Great special attack means anything dealing with Twisted Spoon, boosted Psychic, will take a ton of damage. So here's Wally's new team, a team of 6 instead of 5. Magneton, Altaria and Gardevoir have remained on the squad and have been powered up. Zangoose essentially replaces Delcatty, and Breloom with Roselia. Huntail has been added as I feel a water type would round off this team nicely. Besides, it's Hoenn. If you don't have a water type, how can you possibly make it anywhere? Now you may think this is the end, but I think we're due one more May fight. After you become champion, return to Little Root and gain access to the Battle Frontier, I think it'd be nice to have a secondary post-game boss. As you leave your house in Little Root, after selecting which colour was on the TV, May greets you and tells you about all the progress she's made since last time you met. She's nearly completed her Pokedex and asks you if you want to have one last battle with her and to meet her on Route 103, where both of your journeys began. The battle begins and she sends out Medicham at level 58 with the Pure Power ability and holding a Quick Claw. Its moves are Brick Break, Hidden Power Rock, Shadow Ball, and Fake Out. Medicham is one of the few Pokemon to learn Hidden Power naturally, so it makes sense to have it here. It means we get to give it a great coverage type. This case, Rock to deal with flying Pokemon. May has yet to use her Shadow Ball TM, so this seems like a good Pokemon to use it on. And Fake Out is an egg move. I think it's fair to assume May would dabble in the daycare for a few of our Pokemon. Medicham's stats don't look amazing on paper, but with Pure Power, damage is no problem. So I went for Quick Claw as an occasional surprise factor, giving the jump on everything and landing a heavy blow. Out second is Manectric at level 58 with the static ability and holding a magnet. Its moves are Thunderbolt, Crunch, Thunder, and Thunder Wave. So we have another egg move in Crunch, and classic electric type with poor coverage, so its third attack is the Risky Thunder for massive damage output, then Thunder Wave for the utility. It's a classic, good speed, good special attack, electric type. Third is Flygon at level 58 with the Levitate ability holding a Soft Sand, and it knows Earthquake, Dragon Claw, Crunch, and Fire Blast. You may recall in one of the fights May used a Trapinch. Well, now it's fully evolved, having fairly balanced stats with powerful Stab Earthquake boosted by Soft Sand. Its moveset leans more specially however, so we've had to rely on that. Dragon typing being only resisted by Steel means having an Earthquake and Fire Blast means nothing in the game can resist all of its attacks. Fourth out is good old Pelipper at level 59, holding the Mystic Water. It knows Fly, Surf, Shockwave and Blizzard, replacing Steel Wing with Blizzard since Pelipper's attack really isn't worth using much. It's the same Pelipper we've seen too much of, just scaled up. Not much else to add here. Fifth out is Ludicolo at level 59, holding a Miracle Berry and knowing Giga Drain, Surf, Ice Beam and Fake Out. It's identical to the Ludicolo May use in Lily Cove. Last out is Blaziken at level 61, holding a Charcoal. Its moves are Blaze Kick, Sky Uppercut, Rock Tomb and Bulk Up. Double Kick is no more. Finally it learned Sky Uppercut at level 59. For Gen 3 standards, it's a pretty good fighting move. Rock Tomb has stuck around for so long since it is actually the best option for certain Pokemon like Gyarados and Pelipper. I mean, Blaziken can get Thunder Punch, but that's from a Battle Frontier move tutor. And since that's only accessible if you beat the champion, then it's probably not fair to give May access to that. So here's May's final Blaziken team. Using all sorts of TMs found through a handful of methods, she's going all out. With 3 new Pokemon each offering something different, she'll really be putting the player to the test. And I like that Trapinch makes a comeback. For a Swampert team, it's Medicham, Manectric, Flygon, Ludicolo. Then fifth out is Torkoal at level 59, holding a Charcoal, and it knows Flamethrower, Body Slam, Curse and Amnesia. Similar scenario to last time, but replacing Smokescreen with Amnesia, which after one use of that will make Torkoal feel very tanky. Now Torkoal may lack any sort of recovery, but it's fair to assume May will have at least a few full restores. For a Swampert, it's level 61, holding a Mystic Water, and it knows Muddy Water, Earthquake, Blizzard and Rock Tomb. Surf may be better, but Blaziken is using its signature Blaze Kick and Sceptile is using its Leaf Blade of course, so thematically it makes sense for Swampert to use theirs. Besides, 30% accuracy drop will get some people. Earthquake is a great level up move to have, and Blizzard so it has some counterplay to its only weakness in Grass. Lastly, Rock Tomb, you know, it's more symbolic. It's the first gym's TM, so it's a reminder of how far she's come. For a Sceptile squad, it's Medicham, Manectric, Flygon, Pelipper, Torkoal, and then Sceptile at level 61, holding a Miracle Seed, knowing Leaf Blade, Solar Beam, Iron Tail, and Rock Tomb. Unfortunately, Sceptile is left with the scraps, so its moveset isn't anything stellar, but it still has a decent Leaf Blade and the obligatory Rock Tomb. Iron Tail is quite inaccurate, but it is a decent option for ice types. And lastly, Solar Beam, not great costing a turn to set up, but it ensures it can hit anything hard, even a resist. So here's May's final team, utilising aspects not often seen from rivals, such as TM and HM usage, and a couple of egg moves. With a diverse team that offers a lot more coverage in general, she should be a tough, multi-typed post-game boss for the player to deal with, before challenging the true super boss, Steven, and his Rock and Steel squad. Well, that's it for today. Thank you everyone for watching. It's the first time we've looked into the rivals of a game. Let me know how I did. I tried to condense the 3 rival variations as much as possible each time, so hopefully it was easy enough to follow and didn't drag on. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this topic. How would you have changed the rivals? And that's all from me, so I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you later.